Greetings everyone. I guess this is my last video of this year, and I have a question to answer. What do lamas do here in Mongolia? Well, they are, this Tibetan Buddhists. So they enforce Tibetan or sometimes, this Chinese traditions. And they do not explain things, this in a, how to say, in a very logical or, this a good way. They just simply demand respect, something like that. For example, some, these monasteries maybe, this will give you or sell you this stuff. This is a fake money charm to attract money. This I sometimes think these lamas try to make people more and more dumb. This is a, this banknote of a previous government. The previous government was a communist, the constitution of People's Republic and stuff. Of course, in the very beginning and in the middle of the communism, everything went well. The population was growing, and this we followed, these Tibetans over 200 years, and nothing, nothing special happened. But after we followed, these Russians for 50 years, we suddenly is having, this big, these factories, this power plant, this all kind of, this stuff, this schools are teaching about, these Greek philosophers, etc., etc. So somehow following Russians was much more beneficial than following these Tibetans. So, but there's a problem. This this communist age was ended because of money problems, because of finances, because of economics, something like that. So why you put such this this money of that this age, something like that? Maybe you should have this draw something to do with money and stuff. And in the back they this offer you spells. The first one is how to keep money, how to desire money, how to have more this good will or good deeds, and how to this have more property, and the magic spell of a Buddha of wealth, something like that. For example, I made a video in Mongolian about how to keep money. Mongolian poet who died recently, yes, this year a lot of this important this people died, so this year wasn't so happy. So yeah, so a poet, Zundui Dorj, said, we are rich if we have border, language, and livestock, something like that. So in Mongolian it's going to be, it's like Hilde, it's a border, Hel is the language, and Mal is the livestock, Hil, Mal. So something like that. It's not exactly written like that. So what does it mean? It means in order to have money, you need to have a border. Yeah, I mean, people like to this put their maximum if they have a freedom when they have a border. Also, it means you need to have private property. You are working for yourself. You having a border, simply saying it's mine, it's yours, something like that. Second, you're having a language. From old times, it is we say if you have a language, you have money, something like that. And language is about, you know, this law and order, something like that. Law and order, agreements, all must be enforced. Lastly is livestock. Livestock is basically two things. It's in this plants and in this animals we keep. But now sometimes, you know, this we say in this ajlimal work livestock, it's like a person who doesn't you know, this know anything in this other than his work. So he is specializes only on his work, but doesn't care about history, philosophy, or, you know, religion and stuff. He simply works. Such a person is called the work livestock, or a very poor person sometimes called a work livestock. So keeping a lot of workers, you know, this keeping a lot of livestock makes you more rich, something like that. So in order to keep, you know, this such a money or wealth, you need to say that let my border language and the livestock be how to say, prosperous, something like that. But you do not say this Tibetan stuff like orung gahab saberi, something like that. And we don't, you know, this understand this stuff. Why we do not understand? Maybe it is because in Tibetan, or maybe it is because in Sanskrit. For example, word for a hand in Mongolian is dar. But if you say it in a respectful way, it becomes motar. It's a, in this Indian word for hand, motra. So what does it mean is when you join a foreign religion, your language becomes secondary. It's a common. Your language becomes common language, and when you say something in a respectful manner, you in this quote, you know, this. For example, for a Muslims, I guess you quote Quran, Arabic words. If you are in, like, you know, this Christianity, you quote, you know, this I don't know, Jewish words, something like that. Like this, you know, this. If you are joined in a Buddhism, you are feeling, you know, this. You are thinking Sanskrit. You are into a Indian, you know, this culture. I'm, you know, this not a pure evil, and I sometimes concern about the purity of Buddhism. You see, when you study a religion, you sometimes become, you know, this active participant, not just an observer. So after some sketches and stuff, today I would like to show you what my version of a pure Buddhist in these 8 symbols. These are, you know, these 8 symbols of Tibetan Buddhism. You know, this fish, sheep. Okay, camera died in the suddenly. You know this. Okay, these are the 8, you know, these symbols of Tibetan Buddhism. You have, you know, this water, you know, this vase, lotus, seashell, fish, and, you know, this the wheel of Dharma, and etc., etc. But when you talk about the wheel of Dharma, or the wheel of samsara, or this, you know, this existence, or when you are saying about moon and sun symbol, all this stuff represents our, you know, this mortal world. Personally, I think, you know, this Buddha didn't give a damn about, you know, this existence. He talked about, you know, this living this existence, you know, like forever, something like that. So this is based on his mythology. In the very beginning, the queen dreamed about a white elephant. So I drew a white elephant. And a boy was born pure and holy like a lotus. And he refused from the, you know, this wealth of, you know, this his parents, and he only took, you know, this stuff. This is a Khadag. This is a in this the prayer scarf, or, you know, this this stuff. So this is this is used in shamanism and same time in Buddhism. But if you claim that this is a shamanist stuff, the person is basically lying. It is become very popular because of Buddhism. So Buddha uses this piece of fabric as his in this decoration or something like that. He refused wearing rings, bracelets, all in this money stuff. So he had to, I guess, just hide his balls. So he only took this stuff. So he sat in bottom of a Bodhi tree. The Bodhi tree is has this this heart-like these leaves, and Mongolians keep these dried leaves this on their altars. Mongolian Buddhists this. My parents should have one at home, I think. So it's kind of impossible to this imagine Buddhism without this this endless knot, this symbol. So then you have this Buddha. This I drew this Buddha with a mustache, and this little deer finds him very important, or this attractive, or this wise and stuff. So what does these three symbols, this upper symbol symbolize? It's the teacher and his teachings and the followers. The first followers of the Buddha was these this spotted deers, Bodhi deers, something like that. So the big idea is that these are the the 8 symbols of Buddhism, in my opinion. What does it mean? You have the 5 elements of this religion and 3 jewels. The 5 elements are going to be tree, air, land. Why a flower is a land? It is because something rising from the water, the above water, is of course always been a land, and the endless cycle of water. And finally, it's the spirit beast. It's a fire. So you have the fire element, and these 5 elements, and you have the teacher. Personally, I think he wasn't so bright in this teacher, and his teachings was simple. If his cup is like empty, it means there is an evil in this world. There is a there's some trouble, disasters. Maybe there is a stupidity, and there is some ignorance and hate and stuff. And the deer is a holy creature for a Buddhist, and it's going to be a very big sin for a Buddhist to kill a deer. And deer symbolizes the community. It's also the followers, the believers, something like that. So in the upper part, it's 3 jewels of the religion: teacher, teachings, and the followers, something like that. So personally, I find these things to be 8 symbols of Buddhism, not this, this fish and seashell and stuff. These things doesn't have this part in his mythology. And personally, I think this Buddha wasn't a fisherman, something like that. Well, that's pretty much for this year, and I would like to wish you not this happy, but a good new year. Thanks for watching.